So this is for Aquarius for the fall of 2016. I'm going to do seasonal readings because I can't afford the time to put in monthlies. So that's just what I'm going to do. So I'm going to do seasonal readings for the signs and see if I can handle that or not. So here we go. Aquarius Fall 2016. The first card is number 7. Do not fear the unknown. So basically, there seems to be something that you have trepidation over, something that you're kind of sitting and wondering about. And I get the feeling that you are. I get the feeling that you are running with the fear on this. I feel like you are building on fear, starting to go in those directions. So be careful of that. There's something around you that is, it has the capacity to pass away from you, and I get a feeling that it is not fearful, like it's not worthy of that fear that you may be collecting in that way. So be warned of that. What's crossing it is number 35. Seek the lesson. So that makes me think that you're in your immediate position here, like right now, that there's something that you're fearful about, and this something is also trying to teach you a lesson. It seems like you have something that you may be fearful of initially, or you're building in fear of. It's like in the beginning stages of building your fear, and within this, I feel like you have some kind of a lesson, or if not, a continual lesson that is coming up for you that you haven't. And I did do an Aquarius reading not too far back, and I feel like there's some of these lessons haven't been overcome. So anyway, there's something that is in the darkness with you. I don't want to say darkness as in, dreary, but something that's in the dark, something that's undercover of you. You don't know what it is yet. Something that you are fearful of, though, of the unknown in that way. So some kind of lesson that you're coming across out of fear. What's on your mind and what can be in your overview, your reading here is focus and then act. So it seems like part of the reason that you may be fearful is there may be a sense that you are not quite focusing, one, on the right things, and two, in the right direction. That's the same thing. On the right things or in the right direction. You may be in a situation where you are scattered and not quite focusing completely. I'll carry on. What's in your passing is Honor Gaia 18. So that's basically Earth, right? Mother Earth. So I get a sense that some of these Aquarians have kind of had enough of summer or are ready to get back into the swing of things. Some of you may be teachers, some of you may be just, kind of feeling summer's over and fall's coming, feeling that switch pretty harsh. So getting a feeling of coming back inside and maybe some of you have been out, have been around, have been traveling a lot or doing a lot of outdoors type things. So you kind of have had enough of that, maybe, and are ready to just kind of get back to normal, back to not so summer rules and situations. So that's part of what I see passing for these Aquarians. They're just kind of ready to get back to the normal routine. Maybe too much hype, too much hustle and bustle, too much going on. So, getting back into that lull a little bit. Your near future, it says share your thoughts. So there may be something going on here where you're going to have to express yourself a little bit, come out into the world and communicate with a few people. And these may be people that are maybe not so fun to deal with. I get a sense with this passing of kind of an indoorsy thing, but also dealing with people that you're not, that is kind of abrasive to you, honestly. I feel like these Aquarians are coming across people that they're going to have to deal with. And seeking your lesson is your challenge. So you're going to have to look, because you're going to be really resisting these meetings or these interactions, I'll say it that way, it's a little softer, that you're having with people. Like you can see it coming and going, oh, I just don't want to meet with them. But there's some lessons here that these people are going to bring forward for you, and I feel like that is really something that you should feel actually positive about. It may be abrasive people, but they may be giving you an opportunity, maybe they are giving you an opportunity to kind of, one, be able to interact in an intellectual kind of way that is there to prove to you something that is, and having it right beside the do not fear your unknown, your immediate situation. So it's almost like you are going to have people outside of you maybe even clarify things, or just dancing around that subject of the unknown. So they could also be working with your ability to fear the unknown, or they could work your ability to get out of it, out of that fear. You may talk to someone that has a different outlook than you, and then they suddenly go, oh yeah. They make you realize something that you maybe hadn't before, and put a light on something that was not illuminated before. So they could either help you out of it, or give you a false sense of fear to put you into it. So it could go either way. I mean, this is Aquarius, right? So we're just all of them. So it can go different ways for different people, and it really does depend on your demeanor at the time, how you deal with these people. If you come at them with dread and then that's really, you're not going to get much out of it. You're not going to get that lesson. You're not going to get the little tidbit there, a little sugar cube that's supposed to sweeten you up a little bit. And it does, I get the feeling in the sense for the people that do seek the lesson and they do find it, that it's kind of like puts a little snap in your step. It kind of moves you forward. So it really can be an opposing thing. Even if you look at it in a positive way, it comes out positively. If you, well, not even, because I get a sense that you're not really going to be looking at it positively, but you can definitely look at it objectively and go, okay, I may not agree, but I'll hear this person out. Or I maybe usually don't agree with this person, but I'll hear them out. And maybe there's something that they're saying that, and especially if it digs at that irritation, that irritation cell that you got rubbing around in you, if it irritates that, then there's a reason. It's because you're resonating with that, and that you need to clear that up. Because these annoyances that we have in other people, they're things we got to clear up in ourselves, but we're just not ready or whatever. But there's a reason that we're dealing with people to do that. So I feel like that is what it is, and it comes through you sharing your thoughts with others, and maybe even people coming at you. And I get a sense almost like a meeting. It's almost like people have been away. Maybe some of you have been away on vacation for quite a while, so you're getting back into gear, and it's like, and you got away from the people that you really didn't want to, you were having a hard time dealing with. So, and then going back. So it's almost like maybe just kind of, take that refresher and let it run right through you, and go back in with kind of a better attitude than you walked away with, because that'll help you. It'll help you, period, and then it'll help you progress to advance yourself clearer through this process, because there's something there. Then it comes through the chatter through the discussions that come about. So anyway, that's your near future, discussions and chatter. And like I said, going in not so great, but you can really turn it around if you look at it properly. The distant future, 44, surrender to the flow. So I think I had this on your last reading, if I am not mistaken. And that is something these Aquarians are not doing. The Aquarians are not surrendering to the flow of life. The universal energies just want you to kind of go in here and not. And it seems like you've just been going down those doors that are locked. You just banging on the doors that are locked. You're like, no, I'm going this way. I don't care. Blah blah blah. So you're not listening to instinct, and you're not going with your flow. So I don't know how different. I mean, I'm trying to figure out differences in that way myself, but there's definitely you will be rewarded when you go in the right directions. Things will just be easy, and things will come at you and go, oh, that was easy. You know, different things like that. So when you surrender to that flow, it's just hard to figure out where the flow is for some people. It's really hard. I think being more intuitive, it's the easier it is. But if you're counterintuitive and you've worked that way all your life, it can be an absolute uphill battle. So I don't know how to, because I've kind of always had that instinct, and I've always kind of, nonetheless, I bucked it. Oh, sure, I bucked it. And I mean, very close-minded in that. So a lot of it is just slowing down and opening that mind back up for a little while, and then seeing where it takes you. I mean, if it takes you in a good direction, there it is. It's right there. There's the flow. That's what they want you to go, is where the easiest route, really. But sometimes we take the hardest one because we think it's easy, and our opinion is not necessarily the one. And I mean, it's hard to figure out. But anyway, so surrender to the flow. I get the sense that maybe some of you will be surrendering, and some of you are going to have to jump in to make yourself, you know, kind of really do some intensive work in that way to surrender. And whoever's guided to the video, it's like, yeah, you got to work on that flow thing, because you're not doing it right. And I feel like there's a few that are just completely in the wrong direction. And not only that, they figure that they're going in the right direction, and then they're wondering why they're not being rewarded for it. And that's why, because you're not going in the right way, you know. And I mean, that could come in a myriad of ways at you. I mean, with ego, usually it's the ego speaking first, and you get a payoff in your ego, but you're sitting there all alone and nothing else happening. So that's really not surrendering to the flow. So if you find yourself doing that, you're sitting there and you're all happy, but there's nobody else with you, nobody else enjoying it, nobody else agreeing with you, then something's off. And you gotta dig and figure out where it's at. So that's a little enlightening tidbit there for those that are wondering if they're going with their intuition or not, or maybe feeling like it's intuition but it isn't. Yeah, so anyway, we'll continue on. Making the sacrifice. So it seems like there's quite a bit of and then we have two dark, or actually three dark cards here that really say that your mind is really dragged down in a lot of the negative. It's just surrounded by negative. So you really have to work hard to work on the positive state of mind, positive affirmations, positive things. I mean, it sounds mundane and it sounds so trite to sit there and go, oh, I love myself, and oh, I'm going to have a great day. But I'll tell you, it really helps things. It helps turn things around, and being appreciative and stuff like that, not taking things for granted. I think that in my world, and I still do this on the odd days, you just are going so fast that you don't realize what's going on. But you have to make that switch. You have to make that switch to be grateful for things. And if you are not grateful and all you focus on is the negativity, that is what you're resonating. So that is what you get. So you have to jump out of that resonating of negative and jump into a pool of positive. So that's going to feel cold at first. It's going to feel like you're freezing your buns off. But, I mean, it may even feel stupid. But you know what? The benefits of doing that, feeling stupid for 1 or 2 days while you talk positively to yourself, it's really not that bad a deal. So a lot of these Aquarians still stuck in that darkness, still stuck in that energy, and not able to clear themselves of it. So it says, see yourself in nature. It's interesting. I get a sense that some of you Aquarians have done a lot of vacationing. See yourself in nature. It's almost like, don't let it go. When winter comes, don't let it go. Don't just hibernate in the house. Get out and do some winter sports, you know, snowshoeing or skiing or whatever, even if you're not active, to just get out in the air. So seeing yourself in nature, so it seems like really grounding out might help you. And grounding, I mean, by grounding, it's just getting out in the fresh air. And sometimes you don't even have to, I mean, you can walk around the house and just sit on the corner and just let the earth energy hit you and then come back in the house. That could, you know, because some people are disabled, and you know, you can't really, but you can go outside, get the fresh air. It's just I feel like it's as simple as that for some people. Just step outside the door and look at the sunset for 10 minutes and then go back in. It really does refresh you, and I find it helps myself. So yeah, a lot of nature needs to be kept, I guess. Need and necessity is along the path here where what you're doing, and I have a feeling too that that is part of what it is. It's that daily grind of making the money, paying the bills, and I got that for another sign too. But that seems to be the darkness that's falling here, and it also makes me think that some people are really not in their field, in the field that makes them happy. I mean, there's one thing to be in a field that makes you happy and be surrounded by pricks or people that just are not, you know, politicking in that way. But it's another thing to be in a completely different field than you truly would like to be, or you wish to be, or maybe you never even thought about it. Maybe you never even thought if you're happy, but now you're thinking, yeah, I ain't happy. I've never been happy. I just have to pay the bills, and this is what I need to do. And I get a sense that there is some of these things like that going on for these Aquarians. And I mean, they're smarter than that. They know. I mean, they really can be deep people, but I'm getting the feeling that they're not thinking about life. They're not thinking about the things they need to think about. They're thinking about bills. They're thinking about how do I put up with these people at work because I just hate them and I don't want to go, you know, I don't want to be there. I'm getting the sense that it's just really, and it may not even be one particular person, but there's some kind of an energy back at work, in the grind, making the money, that's really annoying them, and they're not. So it may be, for some, it may be just this situation of being in the wrong job and not being in a job that really is truly satisfying for them. And then some of it could be just the atmosphere, the people, the type of people you're working with are not people that you enjoy, or energy that they carry is not what you enjoy. So you are kind of not happy in that, right? So there's a real sense of like I say, not darkness in the way of doom and gloom, but almost like fighting. You're fighting something, and it's like you really have the keys to change it, but you're not allowing yourself to see that. You're just saying, I gotta pay the bills, I gotta do this. So you're putting yourself in a position that doesn't need to be, and that's the negative part, is being in the position that you are and being at the job. I'm just getting a sense that this person is, these people are in jobs that, like I say, one, they don't care for. So switch, do something else. I mean, what is going to be the worst thing that can happen? You can go somewhere else and find something better. That's one option. You can go somewhere else and find something, not as lucrative a job, but you can enjoy it more. And I mean, that's a bonus. It doesn't. I think you really need to spend less time thinking about money. And I think that maybe, I mean, nowadays it's kind of hard not to. But when you choose, you go to choose where you want to go, think less about money and think more about pleasure. Because I think we're all driven by money, and that's why we're all so pissed off all the time, is because we're not in a position where we're happy. We're just thinking about the bills and the money. And not only that, it's everything around it just completely deteriorates. So it's not a good position. But yeah, so embracing the dark is your last card. So it's your outcome card. So it seems like there's this dark energy that really, I mean, over the summer I got a sense that a lot of these Aquarians were really fired up and energized and just angry and tempered, and now I get the sense that it's just this frustration and madness, but it's kind of like not even going outwards anymore. You're not even getting angry anymore. It's just this dark, depressive state that you guys are in, and you don't want to do anything about it. But the real reality is that it's the mind shift truly that is in charge of. So it is really the mind, because Wayne Dyer said, I think I did put this quote on my page, said something to the effect, and I won't do his quote justice, but something to the effect that negative people live negative lives and positive people live positive lives, that kind of thing. And that's exactly what it is. We just don't understand or realize our negative mindset. And I'll tell you, it's really hard when you've got all these thoughts going around in your mind all day and you're not speaking it, so nobody can tell you what you're saying is wrong. But when it's going through your head, that is the mindset, that is the negativity, that is really where it brews and sits. And that is the resonation that you're attracting, the resonance that you're bringing in. So you really do have to change that. And until I had an intensive, somebody intensively looked at me and said, you are not a positive thinker. I'm like, I'm a positive thinker. My mind was completely negative. So I was creating. Yet I would say positive things to people because I would resist. I would resist saying, I would resist doing, and I would resist all the negative things, but they were still rolling around in my head. But my outside world didn't change because I was still thinking it. And that's what I think people get mixed up. And I think that's maybe what these Aquarians are having problems with, is the fact that they need to really think about what they're thinking about. Because we really don't pay no mind, which we should, right, to these things as much as we should. And that is really where I started to make my turnaround, when I started to go, they're just thoughts, but they're absolutely energy frequencies, and they're absolutely where you're headed. So if you don't change that, it won't change. So that's really what you want to do, is change those interior thoughts. Because like I said, it's like, what? They're just thoughts. I'm not going out and doing it. I'm not going out and saying, but that's what you got to change. It's that habit. It needs to change. It needs to move. It needs to go. And you need to replace it with the gratitude, the positivity, and the looking up instead of looking down. Looking up meaning positive outcomes, thinking of positive outcomes, dreaming about positive outcomes, daydreaming of having a dream job that you're aware of and happy with, and coworkers are great, all of that stuff, that attraction stuff, it's all there. So that seems to be that these Aquarians are just not getting through that wall of negative thought processes. So they're going to have to, I don't know, something might have to shake them up, because they're just going to keep bringing it in. I mean, and the waves keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and they just, and then something will stop them. You might get a big thing that kind of goes, and then makes you realize the gratitude. And then for a while things will be good, and then you get into that habit. And the habits are hard to break. So anyway, I put clarification card out. I shuffled for the animal cards. We'll see if we can put a different light on this. You get the boar, and it says, face your problems head on with confidence and courage, and you will emerge victorious. So basically, yeah, a lot of bubbling going on for these Aquarians. I think they're going to be coming across a lot of situations where people are going to be bringing up issues for you, and just head on, head on, get in there and you know, deal with it in a different way than you've dealt with things before. Like, just, even if it's just that way to open your mind, just, how do I normally deal with it? And then go left instead of right. Try doing that and just see how that works. But it seems like the Aquarians are getting a hard break here, and they're just kind of in that muck, can't get out of it, don't see. They're not seeing properly, and that's the thing. Something's got to shake you out of that, and it may not be your time. It may be, you know, some of that filtering through, but eventually you're going to work through it. And I think that there's, mind you, don't see it in the fall, but there's a lot of that needs to be worked out. So just when these people are coming to you, annoying you, try and figure out if there's something that you can resonate. There is a reason that they resonate with you. Do you ever wonder that? Like, we all wonder that. Why are these people, oh, I don't like them, why are they here? It's because there is, that quality is in you, and the reason it's irritating you is because you've got to deal with it. And if you're not dealing with it, then you're just going to continue to get these people. So the only way to clear them out from coming in is to clear it out in you, and then you won't come across it anymore. Then you won't have these annoying people in that way. Whatever the quality is in that person, it just won't, it won't sit the same with you. And it won't irritate you as much anymore, because you're like, been there, done that, got my ticket, moved on. You know, you don't need to pay for that anymore. You don't need to pay twice for that. You deal with it and you move on. So, a little bit of an uphill battle for these Aquarians, a little bit of working and trudging through some muck that they don't like or enjoy. But another note to that is that you really are the only one that can change it for yourself. And I get the sense too that these people are feeling frustrated because they feel like they're in a locked position, but you just never really are. You just never really are. You absolutely can do and change your life. Just because you've done something all this time doesn't mean you can't hop off that train and go on foot or take a bike or whatever. You know, you don't have to keep going on that trail. If it doesn't make you happy, don't do it. What is it, Jack Canfield? If it doesn't make you happy, then don't do it. I mean, that's a law I'd love to live by. Love to live by, and you can. And I think that's a law you guys need to look up. If it don't make you happy, don't do it. I don't think that's exactly the quote word for word, but smart man, he really has gone to a place where if it's exciting and enriching, that's where I want to go, that's where I want to be. And that's the opposite of where these Aquarians are going. They're going to places that they feel they need to be, but it's the opposite of where you should be. You need to be where you're happy. The money, everything else will come. It'll find a way to come in, but you need to go where you're happy first. Took me a while to figure that out too, but so in the meantime, that's the Aquarius reading for fall 2016. So I guess that's up into October, November-ish. Have a good fall, and hopefully you get some kind of conscious effort moving in the right directions and things get better. So take care and be kind.